a Dark Souls one. I literally watched that clip the other day about how I defeated that giant ass creature just by going inside the roots and killing the little thing. I remember having a conniption fit, and Joyce was just scratching the back of my head, knowing the pain I had gone through with that damn boss.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
And I just hear Lumi.
Well, you know, I was doing Dark Souls in I'm not going to say I was using speedrunner strats, but I was getting not necessarily bored with it, but I was like, okay, so I've done this a few times. Can I do it in a loincloth using only my fists? And go! You know, so next thing you know, like there's some recording out there of me doing like, you know, I have a bathrobe in one hand, a martini in the other. And
Yeah.
Big
Lebowski, everything.
Yeah, so... Yeah, Ray and I do have a lot of history, or Cajun now. It's going to be hard. I'll try to remember.
It's all good. I appreciate it. I know who you're talking about. I know who you're calling out.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I picked this topic because it is a hot button topic, but specifically because I want to focus on the game industry and whatnot, because the game industry, the publishers and developers have all come out and said, we're going to assist with women wanting to have abortions. It kind of brings it into our realm and perspective of what it is that we're actually doing. It's also a very sensitive subject. So, if anything...
It is, of course, the hottest of topics right now, though.
Indeed. So, Roe versus Wade was interesting. I brushed up on it real quick. And it was a Supreme Court decree saying that abortion is not legal if it's over 23 weeks. Okay, so that's fine. And it had to deal with Roe, a woman in Texas, and Wade, who didn't like Texas's, because it was legal in Texas, didn't like Texas's decision to keep it legal and followed it up, and that's when Roe versus Wade came in. So
now the times have changed.
Yeah, so what happened is in 2022, this was revisited, and the Supreme Court rescinded that, and instead of the 23 weeks, it's now anything over 15 weeks you can't. And then, of course, it's all on the state to make those rules if it is or is not illegal after that. And that's where the contention came in, and everybody exploded. Roe versus Wade wasn't overturned. It was certainly trimmed back for sure, and it was based on Mississippi wanting to do Mississippi things.
Well, on top of that, there's also a larger thing going on, and that's that if I remember correctly, because I'm Canadian and I don't necessarily always pay attention to how your country works.
As you should.
You guys are the crayon eaters down south.
The noisy downstairs neighbors.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, shut the fuck up.
Turn that music down, damn it.
I am old. But anyways, the crazy part is that ruling was more involving your 14th Amendment, which was essentially it speaks to overreach into your personal lives.
Mm-hmm.
And, now you have a point where it's going to get worse, especially in the gaming industry for employees, because people who are in, especially the LGBTQ community, they're going to be targeted next, potentially, because if the government now has the right to, manage women's bodies, which is essentially what that's doing, there was a U.S. senator who wanted to overturn anti-segregation laws. And as soon as that came out, that decision, he was on Twitter saying, do Brown versus Board of Education. And then there was another one he was after as well. And I fear for those employees all of a sudden losing any protection they have because now, they'll be unable to be hired in the first place, or potentially unable to be hired in the first place.
And coming back to the medical side of it, like I mentioned, like I said, I work in the medical field. I'm lab tech. HIPAA's fucked. It's not just about women's autonomy anymore. It's everybody's autonomy. That opens the door to them. Like the power that HIPAA had prior to Roe v. Wade being taken down, HIPAA is useless now because they can easily go into your history and see what you had and judge that as their case in point to hire you or not. And that's just the what's it called? the pebble going down the avalanche, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's going to go into, like you said, interracial marriage, into gay marriage, into everything else that they have on the table, just because of this one little pebble running down, gathering snowball.
And I think it's going to be really detrimental for the gaming community because you're going to lose that diversity.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one thing we've learned over the years is, well, most of us learned over the years, is that diversity is a key component to producing a good product. The more diverse your opinions are, the more diverse your backgrounds are, the better overall your product is presented and developed and, given or sold to the public and to the community. So with that potential that, a company might be legally bound by the state to say you're not allowed to hire trans employees or you're not allowed to hire gay and lesbian employees, that's going to minimize the number of diverse voices helping to produce blockbuster games or even independent games if they're not even like working on AAA titles. It's going to have a chilling effect on the industry and employment as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can, surmise based on how far some people want to take this.
Because it's easy to already see in the gaming community that that's always been an issue, even not even between employer and employee, just between fans and companies.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't even want to bring up the entire subject of how Rooster Teeth has been handled over the past few years when it comes to that. But it's not good.
Do you have a story on that? Because I haven't kept up with those guys since Rage Quit.
Me either. Me either. But I was going down the gaming hole, as it were, the other day, and there were a couple of people who came forward about some radically straight up racist biased in terms of how Rooster Teeth defended their people of color in terms of how fans attack them. And they didn't. They didn't even step up and put any voice forward for a few of their bigger person of color employees. I wish I had the article and the video on hand. I don't though. I have to find it again.
Well, that also comes down to like toxic fandom too. Holy crap! Like,
that could be a conversation across any freaking thing.
Yeah.
Have either of you ever played World of Warcraft?
Yep.
So, there is not a community that I've found that is more deeply troubling and passionate at the exact same time. I know, when Legion came out, people didn't like the way the character of Sylvanas was headed. When Battle for Argus came out and then Shadowlands now, it got even progressively worse and things, I haven't kept on the full storyline and I'll try and keep it out of spoiler territory if I look anything up. But the bottom line is fans didn't like the direction that the writers were taking the story. And the fans, some of them got it in their mind that sending the women who are writers for WoW's stories, they thought it was a good idea to send them death threats and wishing, all sorts of harm would happen to these women. And it's like, kid, for 5 seconds, can you get your head out of your ass and really listen to what you're saying? Like, what if that was your sister or your daughter that you're saying that to? Would you really want to be saying that to them?
Or even better, do you want people to say that to you,
Exactly. Yeah. Like, you want that to be your girlfriend or your wife that people are saying that to? They're telling them constantly, you go kill yourself. You don't know what you're doing. You don't belong in this industry. Like,
over a fictional character.
Oh yeah, like I mean, I know Star Wars fandom can be fairly gatekeeping and toxic.
Oh man.
But WoW, I have noticed, is probably the loudest one when it comes to toxicity when it involves women. Either it's artist models or background painters or story developers or quest developers. Some people lose their goddamn minds over it. It's like, why? It's a bloody video game. It's not worth it to be like, it's great you're passionate, but you need to change your approach to the passion. If you've got legitimate criticisms of, the storyline or the quest line, that's one thing. And then by legitimate, I mean not simply, I don't like the way this mechanic works. If it's something along the line of, hey, this mechanic is a little bit broken because this, and this, and it might be a little bit more challenging, but not a walk in the park if they did this, this, and this. That's constructive criticism, and I know a lot of people have forgotten what that is. But when you get these people who are just sitting there going, I don't like the way you've written this, and I'm going to take it out on you because you're a woman. You have no business in the fandom. Period.
At all.
Just get the hell out. Like, take your computer, your console, whatever, sell them to somebody, give them away. You don't deserve the privilege of playing these games because you're too toxic. Like, you're toxic, not even too toxic. You're just toxic. You don't bring anything to the table.
Indeed. And we're seeing a lot of that here. And it's interesting. It's on different levels, like even coming back to the Roe versus Wade conversation and how it affects everything. I mean, it's a bit more on not necessarily the professional side, but it's handled much differently politically because there's folks out there that are just vehemently against it, and they say it in such an elegant way, as opposed to like, y'all Qaeda going, we don't like what you're saying. Bang, pow! Here's my gun. Like, just
which is ironic because freaking believe it or not, the Taliban have come out and actually said our rules on abortion are actually looser than America's now.
Yes,
I wish I was joking about that, but it's true. They believe life starts at birth, just like the Jewish traditions do.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually have rules.
You're absolutely right on that. I saw something on that, and they actually said, if a woman's life is in danger or the fetus's life is in danger, then it's permissible.
Correct.
But they have to get the religious clergy or the religious people involved, doctors involved, and a bunch of other people. But it's like they're more relaxed than this new decision that's come out in these. I think we're up to 7 or 11 states now that had their trigger laws go off. Like,
and I'm living in one of them. Great.
Yeah, it's like and that I don't understand. Like we've we've all been invested in this whole like Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing for so long. This should just slip under the radar.
That was the smoke and mirror. Every time there's a major celebrity distraction in the media, they're doing something behind the scenes, this was it.
It was planned. Like they did the same thing in Austin, Texas, as far as like passing laws or doing something stupid. Is that hey, look what the right hand's doing, look what the right hand's doing, and meanwhile the left hand like put a toll road straight through the center of Austin. So it was just like, and it was owned by the Saudis.
Standard.
That sounds like one of the toll roads in Ontario. Although I think it was now owned by a Chinese company. It's just kind of like, why would you sell that? I mean, it's a cash cow for the province, and they sold it off.
Indeed.
I don't understand.
Because people hate money these days, don't you know? That's why people are quitting their jobs and staying at home. Like, why are they people? Nobody's working no more. Everybody's lazy. Who likes money anyway?
And that's all.
Something. Pick everybody up by their bootstraps. Isn't that how that works?
Yeah, something like
until you take their stocks away, like GameStop situation.
But yeah, it's fandom really. I don't care if it's call it religion, call it whatever you want. It's still a fandom, and that's what it is. We want to say how things go, and believe it or not, the actual Roe versus Wade decision was kind of reasonable because anything after 23 weeks, technically the fetus could survive outside of the woman's body, with help. Like it was developed enough to where it could be further developed outside of the woman's body, which is why that was such a crucial time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and that was what was decided. That was the thing that's supposed to happen. Now,
but when one cell of sperm meets one cell of egg, that does not equate a full living. I can survive on my own body, though.
Pretty much, it's effectively
dividing.
It's a growing tumor. It's a parasite. It's
exactly what it is.
I mean, that's what it is.
It's there for 18 years, bitch.
Yeah, and then there's the magical moment at like 23 weeks and 1 day where, it's a baby. Okay, cool. We're having one of those. I mean, I
prefer the approach to all of that, which is this is goddamn healthcare and sit your ass down.
Oh yeah. So
that's what it is. Like our Supreme Court in Canada struck down our anti-abortion law decades ago. And because they ruled it against the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and they said, no, you can't have this anymore. This does not uphold, the charter values, the values of Canada. It is now no longer valid in the criminal code. So it's gone. It was removed. It was finally actually taken off the textbooks, I think somewhere around 2019, but before then it was just invalidated by the Supreme Court. And provincially, because provinces are responsible for healthcare in Canada, it's treated as healthcare. I mean, it's the same going in for a broken leg and getting it pinned is no, it's going to sound weird, no, technically no different than saying I need to talk to an abortion provider. You can just do it. Um, there's no out of pocket expense directly. Like, you might have to travel if there's no clinic nearby. You might have to go in a hotel, but otherwise, like, you don't get these massive bills. And I mean, you know, the healthcare system in the U.S. I mean, that's a whole other can of worms I won't really
Woo!
go into. But I do like that and of course, my opinion is always open for someone wanting to go over it with a fine tooth comb and correct me where I'm wrong, because I'm usually wrong. I am a guy. The Y
I'm
chromosome
just a
is fine with me.
guy.
The Y chromosome is terrible and horrible sometimes because I usually misspeak. But what I'm getting at is Canada. We treat it as healthcare. We don't treat it anything different. Um, Whereas in the U.S. now you have all these states that have gone, no, we're not going to allow it at all, or we're going to make it incredibly restrictive. I just saw today, I think it was today or yesterday, there was a poor 10-year-old girl was 6 weeks and 3 days pregnant in Ohio and denied an abortion. I was like,
You
excuse me?
gotta be
Like,
kidding me.
yeah, like in Canada, you just, okay. I mean, it's absolutely traumatizing, but at the same time, we can help you.
That's nice.
And to circle back to the to part of this, I do enjoy, what was it? Netflix, Disney, Paramount, and Comcast, and a bunch of others have said, "Hey, we're going to cover costs of abortion travel and abortion, facilitation." That sounds great. I'm a pessimist, and I like to follow the money. So I went and did some research for you guys, and I pulled up some very interesting numbers. And this was in a report that was released to your Congress on maternity leave and how long it lasts in the US. And it's pretty much 12 weeks mostly across the entire board. Your pay for that 12-week period is between $637 and $1,264, depending on where you are, per week. That works out to, over that 12-week period, $7,600 or $15,000. And given the state of the gaming industry, especially Activision, with its pushback against
Oh
unionization,
man,
and providing actual health or any benefits to their staff, especially at Ravensoft, it really kind of makes me say, are you doing this because you want to be charitable and you want to help your employees truly, or are you doing this because you figure it's cheaper to have someone get an abortion and abortion care out of state because you can have them back at work faster? And that ambiguity kind of really makes me twitchy, because it's like, I can't tell if you're trying to actually be doing the right thing or if you're doing the PR right thing.
funny story. I was at the urologist, and I was having the discussion of like, I was considering a vasectomy. And he's like, oh yeah, you got insurance, right? I was like, yeah. He goes, well, I'm sure they'll be more than happy to sterilize you. And I got to thinking about it. I'm like,
Don't sugarcoat it for me, Doc. Go ahead.
It's just like, and I got to think of it. It kind of falls in the same line of like, it's just cheaper to do that than it is to, worry about children.
But sadly, on the other foot, if you're a female and you ask to get your tubes tied, you have to go through so many loopholes. And if you're too young, doctors will straight up just deny you.
Yeah. In some cases,
even
doctors won't even do it unless like you have talked to your husband first.
Gotta have daddy's permission before you can get your own body tied up.
Right.
Yeah, and that, sadly, that actually happens in Canada as well. A friend of mine went and got theirs done, and there was a fuck ton of hoops to go through. When I got my vasectomy, I just basically booked an appointment. I had a little questionnaire to ask, and one of the big things was like how old you are. So I put my age, and there was a little blurb at the bottom of the website where I went to book my appointment, and it basically said, if you're younger, they didn't specify an age, but they said if you're younger, you might be denied because you may change your mind later on. Thankfully, I'm old enough that it's sort of like, yeah, no,
Good.
the book.
Good.
And it was funny because it's like, for me to book it, it was, I think, $150, $170, $75 out of pocket, because the province covered a basic vasectomy where they use a scalpel. And I was like, no sharp, pointy things near me. Thank you.
I wanted snips, not off. Thank you. It's a little off the top.
I want to keep the dice bag intact, please. Thank you.
Yes. So that's the basic one, but the province covers that 100%. So if you can't afford the upgrade to the air injected freezing, it's kind of like a what the hell are those things called from Star Trek?
The cryopods.
No, it's not a cryopod. It's the thing they inject medications with in your neck. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But anyways, it's kind of done. It's just a topical injection. It goes right through the skin. It's a tiny little pinhole. They remove a section from you. You cauterize. One's not even a stitch. Get a Band-Aid and you're good to go. And I was in there for less than 15 minutes. Done. I was like, damn.
That's nice.
Fast.
And the thing is, though, that's the thing. That's how doctors will use it as the argument between a vasectomy and a tube tie, because they'll say for guys, oh, yeah, go in there, it's easy and it's reversible, yada, yada, yada. For women, it literally changes their entire genetic makeup and hormone balance, which on that point, medically, I agree. But it still should be up to them if they want to do it or not up to their husband or anybody else.
If you have dangly bits,
in any shape,
you have no right to tell a woman what to do with her body. And one thing that's getting missed in this whole conversation is that some trans men are still able to have children, and they're getting just thrown out to the wolves. And I feel bad for them because they're just being completely ignored. But they're also lumped in with this as well. So if you've got the easiest way to look at it is if you don't, it's going to be hard to say this, if you don't have a uterus, and you can't possibly have children, you can't bear children on your own, I guess the best way to put it. If you can't bear children on your own, you don't really have a say in what a woman does with her body. Or, a man who has, a trans man who, for whatever reason, still has their uterus. Some people still do, and that's fine. But you don't get to say what happens with their body, period. Like, you just don't. Like, hands off their bodies. It's not yours. If you don't want one, by all means, don't get one. Please don't get one. It's on you. But you don't have the right to tell someone else how to run their life and how to, handle their body. It's not yours.
I think the key takeaway from all of this is that, like, that's it. Regardless of what it is, whether it's abortion or whatever it is, your body is your body, and you should have full say-so in what it is you do with your body, unless you are deemed medically unsound in the brain.
And that's unfortunately the slippery slope that they're going to be wanting to go down with the other ones they want to overturn in terms of privacy in the bedroom, privacy with who you love, privacy who you have sex with. It's all on the table in terms of you had privacy, but very, very shortly you won't. And I heard this the other day, and I think I agree with it 100%. This is a desperation last attempt to get everything they can get done pulled by the highly Christian conservative party before midterms. I think they're trying to get everything they can get done before they're basically kicked to the curb.
Well, I mean, it depends on the gerrymandering and how well that goes through.
And it depends on how many people can get backed by Trump, apparently.
Oh, the T word, man.
I know, but we got to say it at some point. Like
Cheeto can just leave the planet, please.
But the thing is, though, if you go back recently and all the primaries going on, everybody he's backed has fucking won. Well, most of them. Like all is probably a strong word. Most of them.
Yeah.
Most of them have won.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was pretty sure I saw a couple didn't win, which was good. But at the same time, they need to not do that.
Yeah.
Disturbingly enough, we're going to see a lot more of that in Canada as well.
Because that's the other part of this conversation. I was talking with IMEI earlier, and he was saying that whatever happens down here usually trickles up to Canada anyway. So, I mean, that's really important as far as that's concerned. It's kind of like how whatever happens in California, Oregon kind of follows suit like that little brother. I guess it's the same. I mean, I guess it's just the existence that we have being a world influencer, and just, or maybe it's just because of the blind sheeple of
East side.
For Canada, it's very much the proximity, because we are right north of you guys. We share the world's largest undefended border. There's a lot of cross media between both countries, a lot of trillions of dollars in trade every year between both our countries. But there's also that influence between the two countries. I mean, slowly we are taking over. There's more and more Tim Hortons coming into the U.S. almost every year.
I'm all for it.
If those could come packaged with the general health care, I'd be all on board being Canadian. I'd be on board with singing "O Canada" and with maple syrup. I'm down with it, dude.
Isn't Tim Hortons a Kroger company?
No, I don't remember who owns them right now.
Well,
it was
send the poutine down south, man.
I don't remember who owns them currently. They are currently owned by
Restaurant Brands International.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because that owns Wendy's. It used to be Wendy's directly, and I guess it got sold. But
so it's literally Wendy's. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Canadian Wendy's. That's what we're going to call it.
Yeah.
Tim and Wendy. We're going to marry the couple together and have them 2-in-1 shack, just like freaking Pizza Hut and Taco Bell.
Real trip, go to Google Maps and look up Tim Hortons and just spin the globe. There is almost no continent where Timmy's does not have a presence.
It will be the world supplier of burgers before it's all said and done. Mark my words. McDonald's will die. Burger King will die. What is Tim Hortons then? See, my ignorance. I am south.
It's Dunkin' Donuts, but actually good.
Oh.
You see,
I flamed from people who hate Timmy's, and
I could have sworn. I'm showing my age. I could have sworn I saw Harley from Epic Mealtime go to Tim Hortons to get burgers. I really could have sworn I've seen that before.
Oh, probably. I mean, it's usually like a Timmy's and Wendy's, side by side in the same building type thing. I mean, there's a bunch like that where I live.
So that wasn't too far off the rocker when it came to the Wendy's and Tim in the same building. Okay,
No.
okay.
But I need my Timmy's.
Tim.
I can almost get it anywhere on this bloody planet. I'm pretty happy about that.
That's how we are with Starbucks down here. Trash coffee, but it's coffee.
I'm telling you, it may be trash coffee at the store, but if you French press it at home with their branded coffee, it's not that bad.
I need a French press so bad in my life.
It's
like so bad.
It's $30.
I know. I mean, me sitting here literally just dropped $50 for Pokemon cards. I can get myself a freaking French press.
Oh yeah, it's like a ritual for me every morning now. I get up and I start making coffee between 6:45 and 7, and I go press about 32 ounces of coffee and give 16 ounces to the wife and give the other 16 ounces to myself. It is probably the best thing. I hate coffee too. I absolutely detest coffee. I hate going out and getting coffee and whatnot, but for some reason, we were at this Airbnb and they had a French press there, and I was like, how do you use this? So, I did my internet sleuthing, Scooby-Dooed that shit, and figured out how to use it. Really? I just pour water on it, and I let it brew, and then I push the plunger? Okay. And it was the tastiest freaking thing. It was creme brulee, great value coffee. You have Walmarts in Canada, right, Amy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so great value, the store brand. And I was like, okay, well, let's give this a shot. It was the most delicious thing I ever had. And I was like, well, if it can make this delicious, can it make anything else delicious? Yes, it can.
Answer is yes, yeah. Is it just like the heat and the pressure that just brings out the flavor? Like, what makes French press like?
Well, so
the bee's knees, as it were.
It's a much richer experience. It brings out more notes in the roast of the coffee, as far as I can tell. Because normally you get a cup of brown sadness water, and you're like, oh, I don't want this.
Sadness water.
Right. And but for whatever reason, I can only equate it to like it sings to you when you put it into your mouth. You're like, oh man, is that Coke? Oh, it's cocoa and a little bit of I mean, it's
I could have sworn you were going cocaine on that one with me. I really need a French press now. Get all them flavor flavs out.
Oh man, get that old Vine out with cocaine dino. That's what we need right now.
Oh, rest in peace, Vine. I miss Vine.
But the problem is, into other things like, well, if I can do this. No, you asked if it was the pressure or not. No, you pretty much brew it just like a pour over, except instead you squeeze out all of the coffee goodness as you press it down. right? You have to press it down slowly, like 30 seconds is a good press, right?
Okay.
So, pushing the plunger all the way down. Once it's down, like the grounds stay at the bottom and everything else, and the filters last for like 5 years, so it's like super. I can't think of the words. Nature friendly. We'll use that because that's as close as I'm going to.
Sure, that'll work.
Right, that makes it good. But what happens after that is like, and then you start learning about cold brew. I was like, oh crap, I don't want to buy a whole ass machine to do cold brew. Well, you can do it in the French press as well. The plunger up and you let it brew overnight without hot water, and then you press it down in the morning, and boom, you got yourself some cold brew, and you get more caffeine out of it, and it's delicious.
Damn it, Lumi! I know what I'm doing Wednesday now. Dadgummit. Because the missus loves cold brew. She absolutely loves cold brew. And I am, to be completely honest, she got a Keurig, like a Keurig / big brew pot a long time ago. We've been using it for years. And it all tastes the same to me. It all tastes like bean juice. So I would love to see some flavors pop. So yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet. We're going to do it.
Yeah, burn the $35. My favorite brand, and I could recommend, is Bean Envy. And if you do it right, they'll also give you a milk frother. And it's a little battery operated thing, and you can you just microwave some milk for like 15, 20 seconds, not to burn it, and then you plop it in there and you just start whipping away, and it froths up the milk. It's really good.
Nordic coffee coming to a household near you.
Indeed. Is there anything else we want to say on this subject? If not, there's the funny thing.
We go next.
I think we could go all
tag,
it, but yeah.
You think you could go what?
I think we could go all day on this, ranting on it. But I guess the bottom line we're all saying is the same thing, which is
no uterus, no opinion.
Don't try and fucking control other people's bodies. Sorry, I probably shouldn't be swearing, but don't try to control other people's bodies because it's not your body.
It's
hands off.
Disclaimer. This is for PG-13 and up listeners.
We did hit on a lot of good points on it as well as to what's happening and whatnot. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I thought would be interesting is the other item that we have, and that was the hold on, let me see if I can find it. Paul Rudd addresses why Antman didn't fly up Thanos' butt to kill him.
Oh, this was such a good timing for this conversation because me and the missus were watching The Boys, and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen episode 1 of season 3, guy gets a little itty bitty guy shoved up his dick hole. He sneezes, he blows half his body to smithereens.
Oh my god! So
it's easy to say that Ant-Man could have easily gone up the nose, up the penis, up the ass, and blown Thanos to kingdom come. But that would not have made for a very interesting movie.
I really like Paul Rudd's comment before, because he was asked about this. He was doing an interview, and he replied in the interview, before we start, let me address the elephant in the room. I've heard a lot of chatter out there asking why I didn't shrink down, go in, and kill Thanos in a really creative way. First of all, gross. Secondly, it's more complicated than that. Allow me to explain. Gross. He knew where people's minds were going and was like, just no.
Now, to be fair,
to
be fair, they did give us a little bit of that in the What If series. They had an entire episode. I haven't seen it yet. The What If series is scenarios and multiverse. What could have happened if certain things changed in the timeline? And one of them was Pym himself staying as Ant-Man, and him having a vendetta against S.H.I.E.L.D. and the U.S. government, and him shrinking down and going around and assassinating all the Avengers. He literally went inside Hulk and did the same thing that we thought that Ant-Man could have done to Thanos. So you can't tell me that couldn't have happened, especially if you have an entire episode dedicated to, which orifice is Pym going to run into this time?
Well, think about the variables in this too, right?
Wrong.
But think about the variables in this too. Like Thanos is a Titan, right?
Yeah.
So he's a totally different class of. He's not even a mutant. This is just what he is, right?
The Titan gene is a whole different ballgame,
right? And we're talking about we have no idea how dense his skin is. We don't have any idea of what does it take to tear his skin? Because if you notice, it took Thor's hammer to put a dent in him.
It took Thor's axe to chop him straight between the sternum. Boy still got up and walked away.
Right. I mean, like that's just the thing. So, in the event that we decide that Ant-Man is going to do this thing, go in a random orifice, what if Thanos is too tough and he tries to expand?
Oh my god, then you got Ant-Man inside of a flesh bag.
Yes.
He would literally look like kids in sleeping bags. When you know, like the mummy bags, and you just sort of do up the top, and you watch the kid try and struggle move around. That's what he would have.
Well,
It'd be Ant-Man wearing Thanos.
It was for my Dragon Ball fans out there, my weebs. It'd be the equivalent of the episode of Dragon Ball Z when Boo went inside Vegito and did the same exact thing. Vegito turned 3 times his own size, and it looked like he was about to. He was the marshmallow puff boy. Like it was not a good look. It was not a good look.
I think unless he does some fancy dancing with some of the gear he has, like enlarges or surroundings and whatnot, I have a feeling you both have seen Akira, that classic anime, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nope, I don't watch anime.
Okay, so there's a scene where was it Kaneda or was it Tetsuo? They say their names so much I forget which one. It's like Inuyasha and Kagome.
Right.
So we're just gonna call it the bad guy. Like the Death Battle just did a.
They did just do a battle on those guys. It was Magneto and Homeboy.
Yeah, Magneto just But anyway, so what happens is that these kids have these psychic powers, and it's all based from Akira, who is pretty much parts in a jar, but spiritually he's around and talks to these kids, and these kids look like they've got progeria.
Futurama on steroids.
Right. So the antagonist freaks out because either his arm got cut off. I can't remember what it was. I have to go back and watch the anime.
I think it was the arm. I think you're right.
It was the arm, and he was trying to put everything back together using spare parts and his psychic abilities. So you're seeing like what appears to be nerves and skin and organs and stuff like making its way into making this arm, and it just kind of flops out on the floor with a thud, just right? And then he goes crazy and turns into this gigantic mutant baby looking thing. And I believe his girlfriend or one of the females that was in this was trying to do something, and she got caught up in it and got caught in a fold, and you see her in her face, and then she turns into this red spot. Right? So I have a feeling that if Ant-Man were to do that, and if Thanos were tough enough, maybe that's what would happen. He would go straight from Ant-Man to Juice.
Gross.
That's why the multiverse exists. So that kind of situation could happen. We could see exactly what happened.
Well, in all timelines, all things are possible. But in this one possible timeline I'm thinking of, I could just see Thanos going, "Oh, I gotta go," and you don't know what happened, right? There's no inkling of it. Thanos is just doing his thing. I'm Thanos. I got the Infinity Gauntlet, and then just like and tiptoes his way out. It's like I gotta go. This is bad.
I gotta get no. I'm not being paid for this. Nope. I'm out.
Nope.
But
I have posted a very cursed image.
Oh, let's see here.
Ant-Man wearing Thanos as a suit.
Oh,
okay. Where is it?
Oh God, no.
Trying to find. Oh, it's in game news. Let's see here.
Oh yeah. That's accurate.
Oh, this is the Dolly thing. Oh, that is.
We don't. It's just cursed.
We don't talk about Bruno, dude. Sorry.
No, we do not. We'll keep that in the Bruno folder, please.
Gross.
Oh man.
Now if we're in that same swing in the Marvel thing, the biggest debate right now, and I love watching people, I sit back with popcorn and watch people go back and forth with this all day, is who could have killed Thanos better. And the top 3 right now are Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. It's Captain Marvel. Scarlet Witch, pre-book, and Thor with his new Stormbringer axe. Of the 3, this is my personal opinion, I think of the 3, Scarlet has that one hands down.
Scarlet has immeasurable power. Like, I think what we see, like even in Multiverse of Madness, she didn't even touch all of what she had. She was casually walking through.
She was holding back. She was holding back big time.
Right. Like she alters reality, and it was very much accentuated, spoiler alert, in the movie where they're in this field and he's like, yeah, this is a thing. So
it's because back when before she got the book, I forgot the name of the book. The whole reason the whole movie even existed was the book, because she read it for so long and it corrupted her, yada yada. Before even that happened, and the whole situation with WandaVision, she literally was peeling the armor off of Thanos in midair during Endgame.
Before we get any further, Imee, have you seen WandaVision or Multiverse of Madness?
No.
Okay, so this conversation starts here.
Spoilers are fine. I don't mind.
Oh no, like they're really good. Like my wife did not like Multiverse of Madness. She was like, eh. Like we went and we watched. What did we watch just recently? I think it was Lightyear, and she goes, still better than the last Doctor Strange. And I looked at her and was like, what?
Oh, you know, no. I really,
and she loves Cumberbatch.
I'm a Strange fanboy. I'm gonna put that out there first and foremost, because we haven't seen even an inkling of what Strange is capable of either. But
oh, yeah, Strange is ridiculously powerful as we go along. But I'm not a comic book nut, so
I will admit the movie wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. It had its moments. Wanda was freaky at some point. I think they were trying to bend too strongly on one part with the whole dead body situation. But in terms of the movie itself, I will say it definitely wasn't better than the first Strange. For the first Strange will always have a near and dear moment in my heart. But the entire movie to me was made in that last credit scene when they introduced Homegirl.
Yep, let's leave it at that.
I'm not saying any more than that, but when I saw her, I was like, okay, it's about to get good. But back on the original topic, yeah, she was peeling the armor off of Thanos in Endgame.
Yeah.
Marvel got a couple of good licks in. I will give her where credit's due. She got a couple of licks in, but as in terms of her, everybody thinks she's the Superman of the Marvel universe. Like she cannot be touched or not be defeated.
Mm-hmm.
Thor killed Thanos.
Well,
Thor literally killed Thanos in their universe. And he was the only one to actually do any permanent damage to Thanos prior to the Infinity Gauntlet. So to me, I think the bottom tier is definitely Marvel. She could go head to head with Thanos, no question. Thor in his prime, and we're not talking about Big Lebowski Endgame Thor. We're talking about Thor in his big boy move in the Infinity War.
mm-hmm.
I think he, with Stormbreaker, could have killed Thanos if he, as Thanos said, aim for the head. But Scarlet can't touch Scarlet. I think Scarlet, by far, at that point, was the only one that could put Thanos down on her own. Oh, yeah. Period.
Well, on that note, if you do want to see Thanos get his ass whooped outside of Endgame, there's also a death battle with Thanos versus Darkseid.
Such a good one. Such a good one, too.
Have you seen that one, Imee?
No.
Oh.
The last Marvel movie I watched was Avengers Endgame. And then I watched both Venom flicks, which, depending on which comic book nerds you talk to, was either horrible, or if you're like me, I actually enjoyed it for what it was. Mm-hmm. Have either of you watched Venom?
I've seen the first one. I'm planning on watching the second one very soon because it's actually on HBO. Or
I think I watched them both because
basically, if you take them with a grain of salt and you don't look at them as comic book or even Fox Saturday morning cartoon with with Spider-Man back in the 90s, if you don't take them to be accurate to those and you look at them in their own universe, then they're not bad. They're actually kind of fun to watch. If you compare them against, Saturday morning cartoons or against the comics, then yeah, it's a whole can of worms of, inaccuracies and things that don't make any sense. And for me, I watched all of the Fox Saturday morning stuff years ago, back when I was on in the 90s. Mm-hmm. So I watched all those Spider-Man episodes, and then there was things that were said in the new Venom 2, that just didn't make any sense when I compared them against the cartoon show. And then I said to myself, well, wait a minute. I'm trying to compare it against something that it's not trying to be in universe 2. I
Mhm.
look at it as something else as its own universe, because we have obviously the multiverse now because of, Spider-Man. Then it becomes an easier thing to understand, an easier thing to enjoy, because now you're looking at it as its own universe movies. And for what they are in that context, are a lot of fun.
Well, I got 2, maybe 3 points to go with, even and against what you just said. With absolutely, it's definitely nothing in terms of when people are trying to compare it to the old school Venom, which is a good thing
Yeah.
to me. The old school Venom, he was cool. The old school Venom, he was a good anti-hero and a good villain when he needed to be a villain. Him and Carnage were always fun to watch in the later
Yeah.
episodes. But if you try to compare it to the other Venoms that we got with the Tobey Maguire era, it's a godsend. This Venom looked immaculate, in my opinion, in terms of design. Like when he first came out, full-bodied Venom and teeth and tongue and everything, I was like, that's my boy. That is my boy right there. And I'm not even going to talk about the Fem Venom that happened with him. We're not going to talk about her. But the main Venom, that like chef's kiss, like that is what I envision Venom in reality. Like how he looked, not say goopy, he just looked slimy and slick, and
the visual effects were amazing.
Yes,
really well
it was
done.
perfect.
It was a very good blend of digital and practical effects, I think, for the movie. I think the artists and the compositing artists who made him come alive did a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you compare it to movies that were done even 5-10 years ago, the techniques have changed immensely. The quality has gone up immensely, and the product you get and the product we got in those movies, I thought was just amazingly well done. The transitions were very, very smooth between Tom Hardy and then Venom and back and forth. Yeah, I thought they were really, really well done.
And now to go slightly about the universe chat that you were talking about.
Yeah,
you're correct. At first, they were their own entity, but you said you haven't seen a Marvel movie since Endgame.
yep.
In Spider-Man No Way Home, there was a huge multiverse opening, and I think it actually teased it at the end of Venom 2. I haven't seen it yet, but I think it happened in Venom 2 as a post-credit scene. Tom ends up in the MCU. Him and Venom both.
That'll be interesting.
He was at a bar and he was talking with the bartender about everything that went down before the blip, as it were. And
I had to watch that twice to figure out who the hell that was. I was like, what is this?
yeah, I was like, oh shit. But they were talking and he was trying to gather like what the blip was, who Thanos was. He was trying to he was 3 sheets to the wind when he was talking with the bartender. Even Venom was like, bro, you're done. But then it transitioned to Strange fixing the multiverse issues and everybody going back to their own timeline. And Tom went back to his timeline, but a piece of Venom's symbiote stayed in the MCU.
Huh, that'll be interesting to see.
So they've literally planted the seeds, probably for the next Spider-Man movie, if I have to guess, for Venom to show up in the true timeline of MCU. Because I know there's a lot of people talking that they want to see Null, the king of the symbiotes. I believe I said that name right. And that's the perfect way for them to set it up. Or they could do some crazy shit and it'd be another in credit scene for the next Deadpool movie. So we'll see exactly what Disney goes, which, by the way, is retaining his rated R status for a Disney movie.
I was very happy to see Ryan Reynolds tweet that out.
I was like, thank you, Ryan.
Very nice.
Well, it was great because it was so troubling, because Fox was like, this is a cash cow. We will never make him change the rating. And Disney has this persona, this
We got to stay Mickey Mouse.
Exactly. You have to stay in that happy, fun thing. And look at the number of people they've fired for misconduct, which is appropriate. And then there's other times where they've gone after someone for stuff that was a decade old. The person had apologized for, made amends to the people that they'd hurt, and really reformed them as a person. And then Disney went and cut them anyways. It's sort of like,
But to be fair,
was worried
he got his job back.
Well, he was on as a consultant, but he didn't direct anymore in that series, which was kind of a shame. But at the same time, it was nice to see them pick up.
I thought they reinstated him. I thought they reinstated him for 3.
I can't remember off the top of my
I could
head.
have sworn they reinstated him for 3. I could be wrong. I could be talking out my ass, but
That's half what the show is. It's talking out of our ass.
True.
But that was the thing. Like, I was going somewhere with that, and I've completely brained.
Sorry, my bad. I'll do that. I will see the rabbit you're chasing, and I will snipe it from 200 meters away. I apologize for that.
It's all good. No, it's fine.
But on the Deadpool subject, the yes. Writers said that that Deadpool that the movie's going to be a fish out of water scenario.
Yes.
So that's how they're going to probably tie it into the multiverse thing. Like Deadpool zapped into the MCU and didn't get zapped back out. So that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, Deadpool has the ability to break fourth walls. Why can't he break timelines? I mean, it makes sense. Why not?
Now, to me, if Disney really wanted to have some fun and really make the fans happy, they would have his movie. He would make a ton of money because it's Deadpool. But then you have to have him in the next Avengers movie, which is PG-13.
Oh,
yeah. And wait, hold. As the fourth wall breaking guy he knows that as per the rules, he can only drop one F-bomb the entire movie. So he would hold on to that F-bomb the entire time. And then Hugh Jackman would show up and he would use it. And Deadpool would just look at him like, you mother, and they cut off to the end of the credits. That would make me happier than a kid in a candy store. I'm not even joking. Like, please, Disney, throw me a bone. Please. I can take it. I can take it, please.